PFL versus Bellator champions. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on the card. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I'm going to be live for the PFL versus Bellator Champions card Saturday starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a pay-per-view card. Looking forward to the play-by-play. Definitely come and hang out during the fights. Let's start it off with the featured prelim of the night. It's Aaron Pico versus Henry Corrales 2. They fought a long time back, and it was at a time where Aaron Pico was a lot more reckless. Now, he's still a little bit wild at times, but I do think it's going to be more settled. I'm picking Pico to win this time out. I can't, in good faith, pick Henry Corrales, even though he's a dog in this fight, and he's a scrappy dude, and he knocked out Pico last time. Regardless of the 3-1 in the last 4, this Cupcake Campbell's loss haunts me. I remember at this time I was covering Bellator consistently when he lost that fight, and I just couldn't even fathom that he lost to a journeyman like that. Now, granted, has been able to come back and even has a win over a Magomedov, so we got to respect Henry Corrales' game. The dude is solid. He is stepping in on short notice to fight Aaron Pico. Pico was supposed to fight Braga. Braga is now fighting Pitbull on the main card. We'll get to that fight. I do think Aaron Pico's developed a lot, though. He kind of got thrown to the fire since the start. I mean, his MMA debut was in Bellator against an experienced fighter, and he lost. 12-4 now, fighting quality opposition consistently. And for Pico, the only recent loss for him was the injury. His shoulder totally popped out of place against Jeremy Kennedy, and he was like visibly trying to get it back. He's a savage. Beast of a wrestler, really dangerous hands. Henry Corrales is a scrappy dude with power. He's got a well-rounded game, maybe even some underrated submission skills and grappling capabilities. But I do think Aaron Pico rights the wrong this time out. Pico's 27, Corrales 37. I know Corrales is a savage. He's a stud. And I mean, last time out, you can't really shame him for a split decision loss to Kai Kamaka, who's a UFC vet. And he was scrappy in that fight. But I think Pico is going to be able to beat him this time, and I think he does knock him out. When I look at Aaron Pico, I think that he's emerging into his true prime, and I'm curious to see if he decides to try and compete in this PFL season coming up, because I think at 155 or even 145 pounds, regardless of the weight class, he's going to be a danger to a lot of fighters. Has scary power and, a beast of a wrestling background, and the fight IQ has come a long way. Still has the dog in him, though. Pico's minus 500. In no world should Pico be minus 500 against a guy who chinned him in a minute, but it doesn't seem like Corrales is a great chance to win as a dog. Plus 375. I don't see Corrales 2-0 in Pitbull. I think this fight ends inside of the distance, under 2.5. But you know what? I'll say something. Aaron Pico's game has evolved a bit. Aaron Pico could potentially look to land takedowns and fight with a more smart game plan and get a decision over Corrales instead of looking to bombard him with power strikes, and which got him in trouble when they first fought. We're picking Pico. I do think it ends in the distance. I'm calling a Pico knockout, plus 215. It's interesting, though. Pico by decision is plus 160. So betting-wise, looking at props, that is the expected outcome. Pico to beat Corrales by decision. But I think that Aaron Pico wants to get one up on Corrales. And I think Pico could put Corrales' lights out. I'm going to go Pico for the win. Corrales is underrated, scrappy, like weird type of high-tier journeyman because he's beaten some good opposition. He's got good moments in fights, and he has taken some bad losses. Maybe Pico subs him up like Cupcake Campbell's. Nonetheless, I'm picking Pico for the finish, and I think he's beaten Corrales this second time out. The next fight on the card, it's Clay Collard versus AJ McKee. This starts our main card off. I got to pick AJ McKee. I see him with a technical skill set advantage, a speed edge too, definitely a wrestling and grappling advantage. Clay Collard is an absolute scrapper. Like, he's a fan favorite style in PFL. He was just in the finals, and he gave it hell when he took on Oliver Aubin Mercier, but he was just beaten by the technically superior guy. AJ McKee has high-tier technical abilities, and his lone loss as a professional MMA fighter comes to controversial decision against Pitbull in a fight that personally I thought he could have won on the cards, and he dominated and destroyed Pitbull early the fight before, submitting him in the first round. I got to go AJ McKee. I feel like AJ McKee can finish Clay Collard. I think he can lock up a submission. I'm going to go AJ McKee. He could go the distance and get it on the scorecards. Like, it wouldn't blow my mind. I want to double check. We're at 3. Yeah, we're at 3 5-minute rounds, not a special 5-minute round fight. I think AJ McKee has a live probability of submission in the second or third round, but we have seen him win some decisions as of late. But granted, the guys he's decisioning, right, are high pedigreed grapplers, right? Guys that are known for good ground skills. It's not like Collard is a dead fish, but he's a former pro boxer, was a savage, knocking out legit boxers and doing his thing in PFL. In the striking department, that's where Collard would be most dangerous. His hands are legit, but I think that McKee gets it to the floor. Won't blow my mind if he's very conservative and wins a hard-fought decision, but I could see him strangling Collard. I'm going to pick McKee by submission. As far as the odds here, minus 285 for McKee, plus 245 for Collard. Wow, the under 2.5 is plus 160, so they're expecting Collard to go long, and it makes sense. Collard's not an easy guy to finish off. What's McKee by sub? Plus 550 with a McKee decision at minus 130. I guess I just have visions of McKee's submission abilities of the past, like the win over Pitbull, when he strangled Caldwell. I think if he gets Collard's back, he could be live to strangle him. Submission or decision. I would be most shocked if McKee chinned Clay Collard in this fight. AJ McKee should get it done. He's a big favorite, though, around that minus 275 range, so it becomes something where it's definitely more of a parlay addition, but he's technically the superior guy. I think Collard gives a gutsy effort. I think he's scrappy in the early part of the fight, and then I could see McKee grabbing his back and locking up a sub. So we're going McKee for the W over Clay Collard here. Next fight on the card, we got Thiago Santos and Yoel Romero. Wild to see two ex-UFC title challengers facing off. Thiago Santos is a former middleweight, as is Yoel Romero. And Thiago Santos obviously fought for the light heavyweight belt against John Jones. And Romero fought Adesanya, fought Rob Whittaker twice, beat Luke Rockhold, but he missed weight. He would have had an interim strap if he wouldn't have. I'm picking Yoel Romero to win. 3-round fight. I like it for Romero because I feel like Thiago Santos, he's slower paced these days and has a hard time getting started. I think Yoel Romero can potentially time some key takedowns in a hard fight against Thiago Santos. I see a good back and forth. Both guys, 40 for Santos, 46 for Yoel Romero. I am shocked that Romero looks as jacked and even as primed as he does at 46, but the dude is just built different. And if you look at Yoel Romero, I mean, a loss to Vadim Nemkov, but he still went the distance, which is rather impressive. He beat Melvin Manhoef by knockout, beat Alex Polizzi, who's a tricky grappler, and then the split against Phil Davis was unanimous. I don't know how it was split. And then we're digging back to the Adesanya fight. This was an overturned bout with Rob Wilkinson, but Thiago Santos lost a decision there. And then we're digging into Jamal Hill loss, and Ankalaev does have a win over Johnny Walker over 5 rounds, Rakic win. If it was 5 rounds, I could see the slower pace of Santos Muay Thai being a little more effective. But I think in 3 rounds, Romero's got the speed edge. I think Romero can time some key takedowns, and I think he can take a 29-28 on the judges' scorecards. I'm going to go with the soldier of God, Yoel Romero, to win this thing. And shit, at 46, nobody looks that good at 46. Romero's a dog, plus 101. Santos, minus 121. I like Yoel Romero to win. Over 2.5 is minus 240. I got a good feeling we're going over. Santos, not an easy guy to knock out. And he also has had, I think, timing issues since those knee injuries in the John Jones fight. He doesn't have that same precision and timing. Looking at Yoel Romero by decision, it's plus 210. That's my official call. I think Romero's going to get it on the scorecards. Competitive fight, but one where Romero has the slight edge, and I do think he can go towards the wrestling a little bit here. Going to have a little bit of a disadvantage in the height and reach. Not super substantial and not something he hasn't seen before. I'm going Romero for the W. Fun fight, though. Wild to see these two facing off. Next fight on the card, Bruno Cappelozza versus Vadim Nemkov at heavyweight. Nemkov is the former Bellator light heavyweight champion. He's decided now to move up to the heavyweight division. guess doesn't want to have to deal with this weight cutting anymore. But it's not like he was a huge guy at light heavyweight, only 6 feet tall. He fights a heavy-handed Cappelozza, but you have to pick Nemkov. Nemkov is one of the best at light heavyweight in the world. At light heavyweight, there's an argument that Vadim Nemkov could have beaten UFC champions such as Yuri Prochazka, granted he lost once to him, such as Jamal Hill, such as Glover Teixeira, such as Alex Pereira. Now he's a heavyweight, so that conversation's kind of, done with. How's he going to look at heavyweight? Well, I think technically, he's so good. Kicking skills are dangerous. High kick knockout of Ryan Bader. Wrestling game is solid. Fight IQ is through the roof. Like, if you remember this no contest, he was looking bad against Corey, and it didn't look like it was going his way. Then he rematched him, and he whooped him, and he looked better than ever. Then he fights Yoel Romero, and he wins. I think the reason he's decided to go to heavyweight, maybe he hasn't been feeling his power fighting at 205, so he's filled the frame up a bit. We see the Scheffel knockout, and then obviously the loss to Matthias Scheffel. But Scheffel's one of those guys that's scrappy, and like he caught Cappelozza, then Cappelozza cleanly beat him in the rematch. But at one point, Cappelozza did win the PFL tournament. He's the former heavyweight champ in PFL. It's just Vadim Nemkov is so good technically. The hardest question I ask myself is, can Nemkov finish him? I think at heavyweight, I think he can finish him. I think I'm going to go Nemkov by a knockout. But he also has a style where he can fight at a calculated pace and win a decision. Kickboxing from range, landing takedowns. I know he's got the reach disadvantage, but he's better with his legs than Cappelozza. Cappelozza's got a puncher's chance. Every heavyweight does, especially a heavy-handed guy like Cappelozza. But I think Nemkov beats him. As far as the odds, ugly, man. Minus 510 for Nemkov. Plus 385 Cappelozza. I'm saying we go over 1.5. That's minus 115. That's my favorite bet on this one. Or Nemkov in just a parlay. Nemkov by decision is plus 350. Nemkov knockout is minus 150. It wouldn't be crazy if Nemkov is a little gun shy because he's fighting a heavy-handed heavyweight and he won a decision. So, like, even though I'm calling knockout at minus 150, I'm almost more inclined to say that light decision sprinkle with an over 1.5 or even parlaying them up together could be a better option. I'm going to pick Nemkov, though, to get it done. I think Vadim Nemkov, he could hurt Cappelozza. I think he could knock him out. I still think of Nemkov as a finisher, even though recently he's been getting decisions. I think he could beat Cappelozza by stoppage. I'm really interested to see how Nemkov looks as a heavyweight. Wonder what he comes in at. I'm thinking 225. I think he's going to be a lean and mean heavyweight. Not going to be oversized. I think he's going to be fast, though. And it's going to be wild to see Nemkov fighting at heavyweight. I'm assuming this is a full commitment because he vacated the Bellator light heavyweight belt. Unless he's deciding, hey, I'm going to do the heavyweight tournament or the light heavyweight tournament with PFL. We really don't know. Nemkov, though, for the victory. Next fight on the card, it's Ray Cooper III versus Jason Jackson. It wasn't supposed to be Ray Cooper. It was supposed to be Magomed Karamov versus Jason Jackson in a battle of champions. Instead, former champ Ray Cooper, who has a win over Magomed Karamov, steps in, but you got to pick Jason Jackson to win this fight, and I think he should be rather impressive. I'm going to make sure. This is 5 rounds, no? No, we got 3 5-minute rounds. Interesting how we have the champions matchup being 3 5s. I'm thinking in my head that they're all 5 5s. That's interesting. And we're doing it at what? Catch weight? We're doing 182? I think Jason Jackson gets a decision. Ray Cooper punches really hard. It's just I do think he could be susceptible to takedowns with Jason Jackson. And Jason Jackson's a calculated boxer, and I think he'll be able to touch up Ray Cooper III. I'm going to pick Jason Jackson to get a win. Look at that reach advantage. 78.5 to 70. And also, Ray Cooper has looked worse than ever in his past fights. I mean, he missed weight at 186 last time, 0.8, to fight Derek Brunson. Obviously, he lost that fight. Does have a win over Brett Cooper some time ago. The Carlos Leal loss. Like, when he's on his game, though, Ray Cooper is terrifying and has some of the heaviest hands at welterweight in MMA. I just think Jason Jackson's on fire. How can I not pick the guy that dethroned Yaroslav Amosov by knockout, who was 27-0 and seemed like a lock to win and a lock to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov's 29-0 streak? I'm going Jason Jackson. I'm going to pick a decision win for him here. I think he gets it done on the judges' scorecards, and I think we got a fun fight between these two. Ray Cooper's power is legit, but I see him getting touched up from the outside, and I think Jackson can even wrestle with him and potentially put him on his back. Minus 650, chalky line. Plus 475 for Cooper. Yeah, I'm going Jackson minus 650. Over 2.5 is minus 150. Jackson by a decision, minus 105. My official call is Jason Jackson to win on the judges' scorecards. Decision victory. He is the Bellator welterweight champ. The belt is obviously not on the line here, but it is a former champion in PFL taking on the current Bellator champ. So it is, you know, to the stature of this champs card where the champions will face off with one another. Next fight on the card, featured bout of the night, Patricio Pitbull versus Gabriel Alves Braga. Initially, it was supposed to be Jesus Pinedo versus Pitbull, and then Braga was supposed to be fighting Pico, which that would have been a crazy-ass fight. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the younger man. I'm going to pick Braga. Pitbull's on a 2-fight losing streak. He had a short notice knockout loss in Ryzen. He got caught against Suzuki. Fight before that, Sergio Pettis cleanly beat him. And I think that Pitbull lost muscle mass to cut that weight and become a 35er. I'm concerned about how he refills into this 45-pound frame, and then taking on a prime guy like Braga is no easy task. Braga's got very legit power, very good hands, very good kickboxing, a Muay Thai base, solid grappling defense. I think he's clearly got a speed and power edge over, I feel like, a past his prime Pitbull. It's crazy to say that I'm picking Pitbull to lose 3 fights in a row. That's crazy. I think Pinedo would have been a hard matchup for Pitbull. Different fight, though. Braga's hands are scary. I don't want to compare this to Ilya Topuria versus Alexander Volkanovski, but the comparison has to be somewhat laid out. Pitbull was recently knocked out. He chose now to jump in and fight a major fight against Braga, and he's obviously representing Bellator as the Bellator GOAT, but I think Braga can get him. I'm going to go Braga by knockout. What's sad, too, is Braga's head coach, his father, was recently murdered in Brazil. So he's fighting with a damn heavy heart, a lot of inclination and motivation. And I think we might get the best version of Braga we've ever seen. Battle of Brazilians, and Braga has a chance to beat a Brazilian legend. I just feel the time is now. I got to go with the younger man. I got to go with Gabriel Alves Braga to knock out Patricio Pitbull. And he is a bit of a dog here at plus 115. Opened up all the way at plus 155, but he's been played as a dog because I think a lot of people see the punching power. Plus 115 money line, best bet. Patricio minus 135. Braga by KO is plus 400. Braga's got some pop, man. Braga's got pop. He's got 5 knockouts. I know he's got 7 decisions to go alongside of it, but we can't count out his hands. He's a heavy-handed guy. I know at the higher level he's been getting decisions. It's not even so much about Braga, who he's finished in the past, right? It's more about the fact that I worry that Patricio Pitbull has reached a point of no return past his best days. I'm going to go Braga to upset him. I'm going Gabriel Alves Braga for the win. I'm going to say knockout. I know he hasn't been chinning people left and right, but he definitely has punching power and explosiveness, and I think Pitbull could get caught and hurt in this fight. Give me Braga for the win, give me knockout, and give me a major upset. Maybe not odds-wise, but as far as like MMA knowledge and fighter levels go, this is a major upset. Next fight is our co-main event. It's Impa Kasanganay versus Johnny Eblen. I'm picking Johnny Eblen. You have to pick Johnny Eblen to win. The dude looks like one of the best middleweights in the world. It's interesting to see this fight taking place. It's going to be at middleweight, but Impa Kasanganay is the light heavyweight champion. Naturally, though, he easily makes 85. I think Eblen is going to beat him up. Eblen's been a killer. He's like a Bellator homegrown talent. He's got nasty hands, legit power, great volume, great gas tank, great pressure, great mentality, and he can wrestle his ass off. How do you not go with Johnny Eblen? I'm going Johnny Eblen to finish Kasanganay, and I love Impa Kasanganay's story from a brutal loss to Buckley that was the most viral knockout ever, knockout of the year victim, to becoming a millionaire and winning the PFL tournament. It's fantastic. I love it. I love the story. It's just Johnny Eblen is that guy. Like, Impa Kasanganay is skilled. He's good. He's developed for sure. But Johnny Eblen is high tier. I don't see Impa Kasanganay as one of the best middleweights in the world, whereas on the flip side, I see Eblen as one of the best in the world. I'm calling an Eblen knockout. I think he does some real damage to Kasanganay. I think it's unfortunate that it's not a 5-round fight. I don't get why we're doing 3 5s. But even in a 3-round fight, I think Eblen can stop Impa Kasanganay. I'm going to go second round. Eblen puts him out. As far as the odds, Johnny Eblen is minus 465 as the favorite. Kasanganay plus 365. The odds are right here. Under 2.5 plus 175. I think we're getting a finish. I think Eblen's getting a knockout. I think he's going to win, and he's going to win impressively. He should put it on Kasanganay. Fun matchup, man. Fun matchup. It would be crazy if Kasanganay won, though, because this would be an insane upset. Like, Kasanganay to go from a UFC washout to PFL champ to beating Johnny Eblen, who there are, maybe small percentage, but a legit percentage of the fan base that feel he's one of the best middleweights in the world. And I think he is a top-tier middleweight. I got to pick Eblen. Johnny Eblen, pressure Eblen, the American Canelo. I'm going with Johnny Eblen for the W. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Renan Ferreira versus Ryan Bader. PFL champ Ferreira, Bellator champ Bader. I think Bellator champ Ryan Bader is getting knocked out here. He hasn't fought a freak like Renan Ferreira at heavyweight. Now, Bader is on a roll right now. 3 wins in a row. He beat Moldavsky, who's an undersized guy in the heavyweight division. He beat Czech Congo, who was in his late 40s at the time, not in his prime. Granted, he beat him cleanly, deserved the W. And then you look at the fight after, he took on a washed Fedor Emelianenko. Before that, though, Corey Anderson destroyed him quickly. Nemkov destroyed him quickly. He does have a win over Machida. He hasn't beaten a heavyweight like Ferreira, who's got legit power, who's a terrifying striker, and is also in his prime. Now, I know there's got to be a little concern with Ferreira's takedown defense because he has subpar takedown defense. Ryan Bader, though, is 40 now. Fuck, man. I'm going to pick Ferreira to knock him out in the first or second round. I just think the power is going to land. Like, even if Bader gets takedowns, I think he's going to struggle with just the size of Ferreira from the bottom to really be able to do significant damage. And then he's going to have to get him down again in the second round. He can't hold him down the whole first round, but he's going to have to get him down again in the second when he's a little more tired. And Ferreira's an athlete. Ferreira's got serious power. Look at these W's. I mean, Goltsov was a big favorite. I picked Ferreira as a dog there. Maurice Green win. Matthias Scheffel win. And you can see, like, Kaniev, it's a no contest. Drug test failure, I believe. And then Deliha beat him. Deliha's got good wrestling and ground and pound, too. Like, it is what it is. Styles make the fights. And it's just right now how I'm looking at this matchup is Renan Ferreira is a terrifying force at heavyweight. He's a striker. Taking on an old-school wrestler, former UFC fighter, former 2-weight Bellator champ. But I just think past his best days, man. Fought Fedor a year ago. This is not Fedor. This is a primed Renan Ferreira who has dangerous striking and scary power. I think Bader's going to sleep here. Ferreira for the win by knockout, and I think it's in vicious fashion. Minus 110 for Ferreira. He opened at plus 200 as the dog. Everybody's on Ferreira. Bader minus 110. Even money. Let's see. Ferreira by KO plus 110. That's my official prediction. Under 1.5, minus 105. It's a sweaty under 1.5. I think it does end in the first 2 rounds, and I think it's Ferreira putting hands on Bader and knocking him unconscious. This Bellator versus PFL card is really interesting. Now, I want to quickly glance over these early prelims just to discuss them. The fight here is amateur. I'm not talking amateur MMA. Lower tier pro, we got, Adekuludala representing India, I believe. Good luck to him out there. But I want to talk this fight. Clarissa Shields and Kelsey DeSantis. You got to pick Clarissa Shields, the boxer. She's a big favorite. DeSantis is 1-2 and made her MMA debut like 13 damn years ago as an amateur, and now she's back. Does Clarissa Shields have takedown defense? Who's to say? I'm going to pick Shields knockout. Ali Walsh versus Emmanuel Palacio. It's Ali Walsh's pro debut. He's fighting a guy with 1 fight. Now, granted, maybe Palacio's got underground amateur experience, But from what I've seen, I don't think he's ready. I think Ali Walsh is chinning him. I'm going with the Ali legacy. Those are the predictions for PFL versus Bellator. I do want to look at what we can concoct for a bit of a parlay. All right, let's see here. What can we come up with? If I really ask myself, skill-based fighters, AJ McKee is not unreasonably wide. He's going to win. I think Nemkov wins. I like these two. I'd potentially throw an over with the Braga fight if you don't want to put him on. What's Jason Jackson? -115 for that. Johnny Eblen, -105. But Kasanganay does have the power of God on his side, and it's been working great for him. Nemkov, Vadim. I mean, to get value, you got to add in Ferreira. Yoel Romero, +536. You're going to sweat with Romero early. Do I throw Jason Jackson and Braga on the lineup? Maybe leave Braga out. Concerning long leg parlay. I'm just looking at it, though. I'm just clicking it. It's like I'm clicking confidence levels as we're running through. I feel like you might be running into some dangerous territory, but like it makes a lot of sense that AJ McKee's going to win. It makes a lot of sense that Nemkov's going to win. It makes a lot of sense that Jason Jackson wins. It makes a lot of sense that Johnny Eblen's going to win. It makes a lot of sense that Ferreira's going to win by knockout. I think there's a high probability of an upset with Braga. I think there's a high probability of Romero getting a decision, but maybe the over there is better. I think Pico's probably getting a KO. I'm trying to sweep the damn card. I would say, you know, if you want to leave anything out, you leave out this fucking Clarissa Shields fight. Do you throw Ali Walsh in just for the legacy? That's crazy long leg. I wish I had all the props listed, man. Once the props list, like tune into my live streams. Once I have every props before the fight or even during the fight companion, I'll be able to talk like a more in-depth parlay section. This is unfortunate because I don't have everything in front of me here. I know the over in the Patricio fight's intriguing, but Braga is my pick potentially by knockout, so maybe not. Maybe over 1.5, though. Yeah, the parlay section here. McKee, Nemkov, Eblen, -105. The big three, I think. Then you can throw Ferreira in, but I would go Ferreira by knockout if it's possible, if you got that prop. We'll see what happens with these savages, man. PFL versus Bellator, the Battle of Champions. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you guys smash the likes if you haven't. Definitely let me know some of your favorite picks in the comments down below. I appreciate everybody watching. Much love. There won't be a weigh-in recap for this because I'll be doing the UFC weigh-in recap, but I will on the live stream tomorrow. Talk more in depth. So with parlays, I like to see the weigh-ins anyways. So we'll have a discussion tomorrow night about this PFL versus Bellator card, or if not, we'll discuss it right before. So tune into the live streams, live every day. You don't want to miss it. Daily content. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Big W to all of you. And if you like the content too, drop a W in the comments to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.